Hello everyone and welcome to another video with me, 320 Simpilot, and today we are going to take a look at go-arounds in the A320 family in Microsoft Flight Simulator. For our video today we will be using the fly-by-wire A32NX mod, which I highly recommend if you are trying to fly go-arounds in Microsoft Flight Simulator, as it really adds a lot of the features that we require. We're going to do this on a flight from Geneva, where we've just departed, Lima Sierra Golf Golf, and we're going to fly to Lyon, Lima Foxtrot Lima Lima in the south of France, to fly the ILS 17 left and leading to the go-around. As ever, I am a real-world Airbus pilot, but none of this is for any real-world use. It's just to give you some extra context on your home simulations and hopefully help you out with the A320 family of aircraft. I highly recommend that you do use the fly-by-wire mod if you intend to fly go-arounds. It just is so useful. It really adds all the features that we need, and some are still to come in the near future. What we're going to cover is the setup in the aircraft for the approach, the actual actions of the go-around, and then how to set yourself up for a second approach after you've done your go-around. But first, let's have a word from our video sponsor today. The SmoothTrack app is an app for your mobile device that allows you to have head tracking within your favourite simulator on PC. With simply the download and purchase of the app, you can then look around and use it to communicate with various simulators in a much more natural way as you move your head around the cockpit. I have a full review on my channel. I'll use it at various points throughout the video today, and it is available on the Google Play Store and Apple App Store as long as your device is compatible. The link is in the description for both the review and the product. Here we are on the flight deck then of our 320neo, just about to reach flight level 90, heading on a routing that will take us eventually round and in towards Lyon, which I can show you on the VFR chart here. As you can see, the routing takes us around and then eventually in via ECMEP into the ILS for Lyon. If you need help setting up the ILS or the chart, I have videos on that in the channel, which I'll provide a link to, specifically on how to fly the ILS and also how to set up the MCDU. What we're going to do now is show you the charts for this arrival. I'm going to use Navigraph charts. As you can see, eventually via ECMEP, we will then fly down the ILS in towards Lyon. So all pretty straightforward. The airport is at a bit of an elevation, so the landing threshold is 780 feet up in the air. Otherwise, it's a pretty standard ILS, which will fly just as we do in our other tutorial videos. So first of all, let's set that up into the MCDU. So I'll do that in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Close that VFR map for you. And here we go. We're going to go to, first of all, flight plan and check we have the correct route in, which we do via ECMEP, and then the ILS to Lyon 17 left. In radio nav, I want to see the ILS frequency tuned, which on our chart it should be 1091, so it is tuned. It would normally show the ident here as well, but it doesn't yet in Microsoft Flight Simulator and the course. But no matter, they will work a bit later. That's just a feature of the simulator for now. In the progress page, I would like to be able to type in the airport that I'm landing at and the runway, so 17 left, and put it in here. It does not work yet. Hopefully soon though. So we'll clear that out. Otherwise, the aircraft is navigating well, accuracy is high. Performance page then is quite important. If we go to next phase, I need to be, there's descent, but I need to be in the approach phase. Here we can enter the weather. For today, I'm just going to use the weather that I've loaded in, so I know that that is, if I remove those charts for you, QNH of 1013. You can also press B to find out what it is if in Microsoft Flight Simulator by default. Temperature of 15 degrees. This is sort of standard ISA weather. And a wind of 270 at 4 on the ground, which if you click on your wind layer, it will show you. So that weather is quite calm, very nice conditions for flying. MDA, final bit to put in. Again, I talk about this in more detail in my ILS tutorial, but we're going to be using 980 from our charts. 980, as you can see there. So let's put that in. Okay, I'm going to land configuration full, and that's about it. The next thing I need to do is think about the go-around. If you go next phase, you get the go-around phase in the MCDU. So what is this talking about? Well, if we bring up our chart again, You can see they even draw the go around onto the chart, these dashed lines. This is the Jeppesen format, but there's other formats as well. If you go to the top of the Jeppesen chart, you'll see missed approach. You'll also get below it missed approach with comm failure. So let's not worry about the comm failure, let's just look at missed approach. They want us to climb straight ahead to 5,000 feet and expect radar vectors. Great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter in 5,000 on the right hand side. Actually, this engine should be over here. It should say engine out acceleration, 5,000 feet. The reason is if we go around on single engine, we wouldn't accelerate until we level off at 5,000 feet. But again, that's a complicated topic for another video. On the left here, we have our thrust reduction and acceleration altitudes. They're both at 1,600 feet. We know the airport from our chart is around about 800 feet up. So that's about 800 feet above the ground. That's not ideal. I want it to be about 1,000 feet above the ground. So I'm going to put in 1,800/1800. This is the moment. Thrust reduction is the altitude at which the airplane will, on the PFD, start flashing lever climb. And it would tell you to bring the thrust back. The acceleration is when it will change from, and we'll see soon, SRS, and it will change to climb, and it will start to accelerate, and the target speed will change and increase. So we'll talk about that later as we get down. But you want those to be around about 1,000 feet. Some airlines will use more, 1,500 feet above the airport. So I'm just going to change those higher a little bit because you need to account for the fact that the airport is at a slightly higher elevation. Okay, so there is pretty much the performance page set up. If you are using Microsoft's Flight Simulator's live weather feature, which I'm not today, but if you are, you do of course have the option to go into the MCDU menu, press ATSU AOC, and then you can press for weather request and then send. It will then download the data from Microsoft Flight Simulator, and you'll see it appear as a received message. But we're not using that today. I've set up the weather specifically for this video. So finally, fuel prediction page. I haven't quite set up everything as I should have done on the takeoff. So yeah, nothing really to do here. You check if you have any spare fuel remaining. So for example, I could put in my alternate of Geneva again, as if we would go back to Geneva if we couldn't get in. So then in the fuel prediction page, I should be able to specify I want 1 ton of fuel to go to my alternates. But I think I needed to have done that on the ground in this mod for now for that to work. Secondary flight plan is not active at the moment. It does not work. Okay. So that is the MCDU pretty much ready to go. Let's think about the actual go around. What I'm going to do is fly down the approach. So if I bring up my chart, in fact, let's bring it up on the screen. So we go to plan. I've got constraints selected up here, CSTR, so we can see the altitudes the Airbus will aim for. And now I'm going to go to flight plan and scroll through the points, and you can see them appear on the navigation display. So as you can see, it wants me to be at ECMEP at 10,000, which is wrong. That is not the case. In the chart, I can actually see that ECMEP is expected to be around 3,000 feet. after ECMEP, we should be at 3,000 feet. So the next altitude they've got right, which is LSS07 at 3,000 feet, below 3,000, and then down the ILS. But we're going to fly the ILS anyway. And down we come. So when we want to go around, we divide it into a few different processes in the Airbus. We'll be on the approach, and it depends on the configuration we are in. But the general rule is as follows. The first thing we're going to do is announce it so the other pilot knows. So in the Airbus, you'll typically call go around flaps. That's what most airlines will use. What you're going to do is move the thrust levers from the climb gate where they will be, because auto thrust will be working for you, all the way forwards to TOGA, takeoff go around thrust, which is here. That's why it says TOGA. The GA is for go around. So you're going to move those all the way forwards, having told the other pilots. The reason you say go around flaps is because once you've done that, the other pilot will move the flaps up 1 stage. So if you were at flap full, let's say we were completely configured for landing, ready to land, we would go from full to 3. Then pilot flying, that would be me, is going to check that the correct modes have engaged. So I'm going to look for man TOGA, should appear on the left to tell me I've got TOGA thrust. Then it should say SRS, speed reference system, which is the same system we use on takeoff, used for the go around. And what that means is it will use maximum thrust and target a low speed, the V approach speed roughly, as we climb away, and that gives you a good rate of climb. And then in the lateral mode here, where it says nav at the moment, it should say go around track, or in modern Airbuses it will automatically go back into nav. Now that's not featured yet in this mod. But what we're going to do is, because our chart told us we don't need to worry, we're just going to go straight ahead to 5,000 feet as the chart said. If I show you here at the top, it says straight ahead to 5,000 and expect radar vectors. So simply we are going to go straight ahead to 5,000 feet. So in the mod at the moment it just goes to heading, but in the real aircraft the coding is all in there, and it will then go into nav mode and you fly the coding. Alternatively, you can push the heading button to force it into nav mode if it says go around track, but this mod will just go into heading, which is absolutely fine for this approach. So once I've checked those modes have engaged, then a very important call, easy to miss, is from the pilot monitoring, who will say positive climb. That means that we have a rate of climb that is positive. We are going away from the ground. As soon as you hear positive climb, the pilot flying will say gear up, and will bring the gear up. We're then going to carry on climbing with that thrust up until our previously discussed thrust reduction and acceleration altitude, today 1800 feet. At that point it's just like a takeoff. So we're going to reach 1800 feet, we're going to see lever climb flashing on the PFD, so we'll bring the thrust back to the climb gate as it is now. The aeroplane will lower the nose and try to accelerate, so we'll let it do that. And as we get above the green F, for example, if we were in flap 3, we would go from 3 to 1, just like a takeoff. If we were in flap 2, let's say we went around we were flap 3 on approach, we went around, so we moved into flap 2. As soon as we get above the green F, we would go to flap 1. If we, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then once we are in flaps 1, we'll get above the green S and go to flap 0. I hope that makes sense. We'll talk about that again later in the video. And it pretty much becomes like a normal takeoff, and then we're going to set ourselves up for another approach, which we will do later. So let's go and fly this approach now. I'm going to arm the auto brake, so let's have low auto brake ready. As I said, a flap full landing is what we're expecting. We've already got the weather loaded in, and I am going to pretty much set up the aircraft, turn on the LS push button so we can see the ILS, and let's get ourselves over there ready to fly the approach. As I said earlier, if there's anything that you're finding is missing in your sim, it could be that you don't have the latest development build of this mod. So I'm, like I say, using the latest development build, which already seems to work with the current update, although by the time you see this video there may be another update out that means there needs to be another change to the mod, but they're constantly working and doing a great job getting it up to date. So hopefully that will solve issues over time as we go through the process of growing this A320. Some good news now is that we can see as we get closer to the airport, I'm on headings at the moment, I'm going to vector myself via ECMEP, but we can see that Lima Sierra Sierra is identified now on our PFD, and that matches the chart, luckily, which was going to be the Lima Sierra Sierra. So, good news, so our ILS is all ready to go for us to fly. One of the great things about the Airbus is that it can actually fly the go-around with the autopilot engaged. So for this first one, we'll just do that. If you don't have the autopilot engaged, let's say you're already preparing to land, then you can simply just follow the flight directors yourself using the side stick. But if you have the autopilot in, it's great. What you could also consider doing to make your life easier is if you realize you're going to be sent around, so air traffic control have said to you, expect to go around or to go around, you could always just reach up, put the autopilot in, as long as you have some modes engaged, and then go to toga thrust and it will fly the go around for you. So that's a great way to reduce workload, and certainly something that we would consider in the real world if we have the option available to us. Why might we end up going around? Typically it could be spacing issues, so there's aircraft on the runway in front of you, or you're too close to the airplane on the approach, so there's a risk of wake turbulence, so that's turbulence because of an aircraft in front of you flying through the air and disturbing it, that you're getting too close to that aircraft, so you may have to go around. It could be your own reason. Maybe you've discovered a technical issue, or the cabin isn't ready for landing yet, so you may have to go around for those reasons as well. So there's lots of different ways that we can end up in a go around, but yeah, if you have the chance, putting the autopilot in is a great way to make it easier. Certainly by this point on the approach I should be definitely a bit slower, so I'm going to activate the approach phase. So we'll slow down and we are nice and level, lots of level flying to reduce the speed. So I'm going to go direct to ECMEP, which is on our left, and we should begin our left turn around as long as I go into nav mode. The real aircraft goes into nav mode automatically when you do a direct, but currently we have to select nav if you do in the MCDU. Great. As we can see, ILS is identified. We're 60 miles out, so we are very low. So let's jump ahead to the approach. Here we have an example of the Smooth Track app, just adding that extra bit of immersion as I'm able to just freely move my head to look out the window here to have a look at that village as we fly past. I'll be using it at various points throughout the approach in the next scene, as you will see. So here we are then, engaged with Lockstar, glide slope coming soon, or not. Well, yeah, actually pretty soon. We should see that glide slope coming down to meet us as we head down the approach. So let's start configuring. So I'm going to go to flaps 1, flaps 1. As I said, using Smooth Track head tracking for the video today, who have kindly sponsored this video. And that's allowing me to just free up my hands and just look around the flight deck just as we would in real life. And it's great fun, really nice and immersive in this amazing graphic simulator. Right, as you can see now, our speed is back, so let's go to flaps 2. Flaps 2. Starting down the glide slope now, and we're starting to think about our go around. So lots of reasons. It may be that you're not visual with the runway. It could simply be that we have to be visual by 980 feet barrow. If we aren't visual, then we may have to go around. In fact, we would, pretty much simply. So let's put that gear down. Gear down. We're in managed speed with these dashes, so to get that you push up on this speed knob and the speed will target the approach or the different F speeds as you put the flap out. We're below the amber eyebrows, so we can put up flap 3 and they move. We're still below the amber eyebrows. Let's put up flap 4 for landing. I'm going to arm the speed brakes for landing, and I'm going to turn on the turn off light and taxi light. Fantastic. So now we're fully configured on final approach. Visual with the runway, but that's not going to matter. We're going to pretend air traffic control tell us now that we're pretty close to the aircraft in front, so we may need to go around. Something I should do, and you must do, is set the go around altitude here. So as you can see, I've set 5,000 feet in the altitude window, which is then appears on the PFD 5,000 blue. So that's ready for the go around. That's the altitude we're going to arm, or we're going to capture if we go around, as we talked about in the brief. Let's just give the cabin the ding dong. And now say seats for landing. Right, stunning graphics as ever. I absolutely love it. The lighting and the reflections, just amazing. And this is why flying is so much fun. It just looks beautiful. Any different day you're flying, the weather conditions will be different, the atmosphere will be different. Anyway, so time to think about going around. So I've got the autopilot in, as I said earlier, which makes my life easier. And what I'm going to do is, as we said earlier, I'm going to call go around flaps. I'm going to move the thrust levers all the way forward to toga, dead easy. Then I'm going to bring the flaps in one stage, so they're currently at full, so they'll go to 3. Going to check that the PFD has worked for us, and then positive climb, gear up. Right, let's do it. So go around flaps. Thrust lever is going to go to toga. Move those flaps in one stage, so from full to 3. Then on the PFD, man toga SRS go around track, all as expected, and it is pitching up. So that is good stuff. Positive climb. Let's get that gear up. Gears traveling up. Good stuff, and away we go. Right, we're through our 1,500 feet. So, as we said, it's saying lever climb. So let's do lever climb there. Thrust climb, open climb, heading. We talked about that. It only does heading for now. The real aircraft would do nav. Above the F speed, flaps come into flaps 1 because they were at 3. And above the S speed, flaps can come to 0. Flaps to 0, and away we go. And now it will climb up to 5,000 feet straight ahead on the heading. So what would we do from here? Well, normal things really, like after takeoff, flaps will come to 0, so speed brakes can be disarmed. I've got a takeoff tutorial video if you need help with that, and you might, and you would in fact, turn off these nose wheel lights. Okay, so now what we're really going to do is go and prepare ourselves for another approach. Ooh, a few bugs here with the automatics. So let's set ourselves up for that. First of all, level off at 5,000 feet or whatever is the safe altitude we have terrain around us. And that's why radar vectoring from air traffic control would be nice, but we don't always have it. So like I said, my video should help you with that. But it's dead easy to set up for a second approach. As you can see, the MCDU is pretty much thinking about it already. All I'm going to do is repress activate approach phase in the MCDU, and that way it will automatically target green dot speed, and then as I put out the flaps it will slow down to our V approach speed. I'm going to check the performance and weather is all in there, which it is, and it's still there for the go around phase as well. So the only thing we need to do now is check the flight plan routing is still there. So ECMEP, there's our ILS to 17 left, and it's all in there. It's all ready to go. So if we wanted to fly another approach into this airport, it would be really simple now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go direct to ECMEP as we did before. I'm going to put it into nav mode, and I'm going to let it fly that. And now we are back where we were earlier, routing to ECMEP, ready for a second approach. Now you would certainly put some consideration into what went wrong, why did we have to go around, what's going to be different this time, how much fuel do we have. So we've got loads of fuel today, but you would be considering, for example, if you didn't have enough fuel to try this second approach and then divert, you might have to divert. Or maybe the reasons that you did a go around weren't your fault and it's confident they won't happen again, so you can commit to a landing here. There's all sorts of different rules for that. But round we go and try again. That's all for today's video. I hope it's been useful for you. So we saw how to fly go around, the different features of setting it up, and also what to do once you've done your go around. There'll be plenty more videos and tutorials on the channel soon, looking at other aspects, including perhaps some different styles of approaches and different complicated go arounds that we may find out there in the real world. If you have any questions or comments, please do leave them below the video, and of course please do like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of this sort of content in the future. There'll be plenty more videos and live streams coming soon. I will very soon be doing a long haul live stream on the channel, as well as a Microsoft Flight Simulator 320 live stream. That's it then, thank you very much for watching, keep safe and well, bye bye.